Welcome to Art Blender, the internet talk show where we interview creative artists from all walks of life, from all around the world. I am Sharon Lee and I am your host. In today's show, we are interviewing Esmee St James, a relationship builder and author. Esmee touched upon the lost art of chivalry, the current and past roles of women and men, and how her schooling in hypnotherapy can help artists. The big takeaway...
You're reading off a teleprompter. Come on, this is just take away from the interview with how to be confidently authentic, blah, blah. This is blah, blah, blah. You know exactly what you want to say. You don't need that. We're talking about my book, how I wrote it, why I wrote it, who it was for, and how using hypnotherapy can help me write the book and help you tap into your creative spirit as you as an artist. Why don't you just say that?
Esmee St James, author, hypnotherapist, who can help the artist to tap into their well of creativity and be able to share their creativity with the world.
Yes.
Hi, Esmee. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
It's my pleasure.
So excited to have you here.
Well, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Well, you have many titles now. You are a relationship builder and an author. Mm-hmm. And so and we have your book here, Chick Magnet. Let me see, What Men Don't Know That Women Wish They Did. Mm-hmm. So who is this book geared towards, would you say?
I initially started writing it for men, but it turns out that it really is for both men and women. So it's separated into three different parts. The first third of the book is called Him. So it's all for men. It just describes the female psyche to a man and you know what things he does every day that you know he doesn't really notice that he does that might be not working for women. Mm-hmm. The second part is her, and it describes the woman's psyche much more concisely, like from her point of view.
Yes.
So the first part is his point of view. The second part is her point of view. Yeah, and then there's a few chapters at the end that are in general, like how to give a compliment, how to take one, how to be a good leader, and manners.
Yes.
You know, kind of
well,
important.
That's needed for all of us sometimes, definitely.
Yeah.
But what did you feel that you've noticed in society or just prior to you writing this book that made you feel that it was needed?
Where do I start? Well, having been on the dating scene myself and having a lot of friends that are single, and you know, friends tend to come to me and ask me questions because I just somehow seem to be that go-to person.
Yes.
I've really noticed that with the advent or progression of electronics, like we're always on our phone or you know, texting and stuff.
Yes.
We barely even make a phone call to talk to anyone. And especially in Silicon Valley, we're so much behind a desk a lot. We don't get a chance to interact personally that much.
No.
And a lot of the, let's say even the art of charm, of chivalry, things like that, they're getting kind of lost. That's one thing.
Yeah.
So personal interactions, we don't learn so much about that these days with the way that life is. Bless you. Secondly, the other thing that I've noticed a lot is for women that because most women are now in the workforce around here anyways. Yes. And so we as women in the workforce, we have to put on our business suit. And I don't just mean clothing, I mean our business suit, our business armor. Because we interact with people in business. And so we have to behave a certain way, be strong, be decisive, be, shall I say, more masculine than we're meant to be, really. Mm-hmm. So sometimes women will come home from that and go on a date and forget to take off that business suit, that armor, and put on their female attire.
Yes.
And tend to be a bit more masculine than feminine. And so that throws men off to the point where a man might be afraid to even put his arm around a woman's waist or open the door for her.
I remember you mentioning that is that sometimes men have been, there's so much pressure for them to don't do this and to do this that they're scared that if they touch someone that they're going to be sued or something like that.
Or afraid they might offend. Like, I don't know, I better not ask for this or say that. And what I what I'm wanting to do with this book, or what I have done, is actually turn back the clock a little bit on that kind of stuff. Go, you know what? It's okay to be the woman, and it's okay to be the man, and open the door.
Yes.
It's kind of
so
like
what would you
retraining.
say? What exactly? I mean, helping them, the men, with the questions that they have, and what would you say that are some questions that the men have come to you with, either that are in this book or that they themselves have just come and said, "Please, Esmee, help me with this."
So, and that's an excellent question. I'm so glad you asked that. There's two things that I found that men generally have a difficulty with, and that is how to start a conversation, how to approach a woman, what's the right way to do this.
Yes.
Because they're afraid to be rejected. And what happens is they get really wrapped up in their own head. And they get so preoccupied with that they forget to think that the woman might also have some concerns of her own. Mainly safety, first of all.
Yes.
For obvious reasons.
Yes.
And so when a man changes his mindset to consider what's the woman thinking, what are her concerns, it shifts the focus from him being, oh my God, what if she says no, to like, oh, let me make her feel comfortable so that she'll want to have a conversation with me. That's one.
So it sounds like that you're also trying to open that connection between the man and the woman, where they're both able to be themselves and be relaxed and be comfortable. You know,
That's
because I
exactly
think
right.
many of us are where we've put up this armor,
Yeah.
and we're not being who we really want to be.
We're not really speaking from the heart. We're just
Right.
speaking from like, oh, thinking what should I say, and what from both sides with the woman, what should I do, what should I say, and what
Yes.
if he this and what if he that, and the man like, well, what if she rejects me, kind of a thing. The other problem that I hear about a lot from men is like, well, what do I talk about? And the answer is not what do you talk about, but what questions do you ask her?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you want to engage her and make her feel that you're paying attention to her.
Yes.
But also, I think that the same would be the same as for the woman to, if the man has done something to his hair or he's done something, to acknowledge that
Yes.
as well.
Yes, exactly. There's ways to pay compliments that work better than some things that some guys might say. shall we say.
That's right. So one thing I really want to ask is what was the research you did for this book?
Oh my God!
I mean, and kind of in a what was the research you did?
I've read a ton of books from all different kinds of authors about how to date a woman, and then stuff from women as well. Read up on body language and how to have a conversation, and I knew a lot of this myself already. But it was
Yes.
really interesting to find out from other experts what they thought, and I kind of put that all together.
Hi, Tito.
Hi, baby.
Hi,
Oh, he's coming to
David.
join
Coming
in.
to visit us.
This is how you be a man. You
Yeah,
sit here
you
and you
go.
snuggle up to the woman.
Exactly. Good boy.
Yeah.
Okay, be here. So one thing that I've heard about you, Esmee, that I would love to learn more about is that you've been using hypnotherapy.
Oh.
And I'd love to learn a little bit more about that and what got your interest in it, and just to learn more about it from you.
But I'd love to share more about that with you. So when I was first writing my book, I got writer's block. I got completely stuck, and
I know
it was,
what that's like.
Yeah, you
I know what that. I know what that's
yeah.
like. I know. Yeah.
And so while it's a nonfiction, you still have to use your creative mind to figure out what to write, because each chapter has a story, and what story
Yes.
do I tell, and how do I weave it into the point I want to make, and everything.
Yes.
I decided to just start getting hypnotherapy for myself, because I really wanted to get the book out, and I was blocked. So I got a bunch of sessions, and after that, I got to writing, and I got the book, the rough draft, done in 8 weeks.
Wow.
I mean, it was like, whew,
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So the hypnotherapy really just opened up, or put down whatever wall that you had up.
Yes. Yeah, it took down that wall that was blocking me. All the, because we all have to have our critical mind
Yes.
that's saying, oh, you're no good, you're not going to make it, oh, you
Yes.
terrible at writing or whatever,
Yes.
things that started when we were very young.
So the hypnotherapy has really, how do you, so that has it helped you in other ways?
It's helped me a lot in that it has opened me up creatively hugely. Not just with writing, but when I use hypnosis on somebody to help them get through,
Yes.
through their mental blocks and through their emotional blocks, the path they take them on, I mean, you think of it as you go, and you take them on a trip down into their unconscious mind, and you create little stories and things, and bring them back to their childhood. Or I had a gentleman the other day I worked with who I brought him back to the day that he was born, which is when his troubles started. And it's not that you couldn't remember that stuff, but he just went there because the unconscious mind just knows all this stuff.
Yes,
it's stored in there.
Yes, yes. So you think that there's really that hypnotherapy could really help the artist to be able to open up and to be more creative and to really take down some of those barriers that might hurt them, and being able to do whatever they want to do, whether it's paint or write or sculpt
or even do something as common as public speaking, which also can be really creative, because how we use our voice, how we use our body, how we express our words.
How do you think that the artist could they self-hypnotize themselves to be able to get into more of a creative state? And could you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, another great question. Absolutely. So one of the things that I teach my clients when I start working with them using hypnotherapy is I teach them self-hypnosis. And it's basically what you do is you get yourself into a very relaxed state of mind, but by doing a certain practice. And then you have your own hypnotic suggestion that I work with them to create. It's something that really hits home to them. And it's really, really simple and brief. It's kind of like a mantra, if you will.
I love talking with an author, and I love talking about the writing process, whether somebody is writing poetry or whether they are writing a book on a subject matter that's going to help somebody. And Chick Magnet is definitely helping people in the dating scene, helping men in the dating scene, which can be a little daunting and a little scary, I know, for everybody.
Yeah.
But if you could tell me what was your writing, what were the steps you did in creating this book? Like, how did you start, and what maybe were some of the difficult parts that you encountered throughout the process?
So the most difficult part was starting, of course. Yeah. And then there was a belief I had is that I could just sit down and write a whole book by myself. And I realized after 5,000 words that I needed some help. I got a dog to snuggle with me first. And then I hired a coach to help me, not to write a word for me. He didn't do that. But just to interview me, I told him I want to do 3 chapters a week. So we set up 3 appointments a week where we would talk for just 20 minutes, and he would say, okay, what's the next chapter on? And then I would tell him what it was on, and we'd just have a conversation. It was just like you and me sitting here and chatting.
The question I have is, did you write more in the mornings, or did you write more, or did you just write when it came to you, or how did that work?
I would start, there were a lot of times where I wrote all night long because I could not be disturbed. I can sometimes be distracted easily because there's so many things.
Of course. In this busy
your
life,
phone, a bird outside,
exactly.
a cat, anything. It's like any excuse, to not do the hard work. And it was a labor of love, but sometimes it was really hard work. So there were times where I would just literally start in the afternoon and write until dawn. And those were my most creative times because the creative muses come out for me in the middle of the night.
So one term I've heard associated with you is the creative muse. And I was wondering first if you could define that for me, and also how can that be associated with other artists? I mean, what does it mean actually, and what does it mean to you?
Wow, I'm so glad you asked that question. Often people ask me, well, I'll ask a question and it'll just come out of the blue. And they'll say, well, how did you ever think of that? Or how did you know that? It's like, I didn't, it just came to me. And it's a matter of tapping into, there's many names for it. You can tap into your intuition. So some people call it intuition. Some people call it the creative muse. Stuff comes from somewhere else. Like creative stuff does not come from within us necessarily. It comes through us. If you know how in the middle of the night you get an idea, oh, I should say this to so-and-so, or I should try this, or do it this way. If you don't get up and write it down, you're not going to remember the next morning. And so that's where all the epiphanies come from, all the light that goes on.
So it seems like that you need to, as an artist, to keep yourself open.
Yes.
And to keep yourself open to that energy and that creativity that's flowing through you.
Yes.
So that you can best use whatever your talent is.
Yeah, and
Right?
let the art play you. Let the music play you. And as artists, we often, we have a lot of self-doubt because we work on our own quite often. Like I
Yes.
wrote this on my own in the middle of the night. So many
Yes.
nights I just didn't sleep.
Many writers do. Many artists
Yeah,
do. Yeah.
exactly.
So
Gotta-
I would like to actually say thank you very, very much for coming. And please go onto Amazon and you can purchase the Chick Magnet, already a bestseller. And I want to thank Esmee St James, the relationship builder, for being here, and the hypnotizer, and just all of your many talents. So thank you so much for being with me today, and it was wonderful to have you on.
It's my pleasure, and thank you for letting me talk about hypnotic charm.
Wonderful, exactly.
That's what it's about.
Wonderful.
Yeah, thank you so much,
You're
Sharon.
welcome. Thank you. Hi, I'm Sharon Lee, and thank you for being a part of this episode of Art Blender. I hope you enjoyed this and other episodes featuring artists in their own words. What I hope to achieve with this talk show is to highlight the importance of art, which I believe is very much needed in today's world. I want to illustrate the power of art and give artists a platform to share their works. The creation of art can be a healing tool and a vehicle for growth and enlightenment. Art Blender is a labor of love for me, but to continue this series in the future, I cannot do it on my own. I am always looking for your thoughts and suggestions, or you can just drop me a note to say hi. Please email me at the address below. Also, I am always looking for great guests to be on the show. So if you are an artist or know an artist locally, nationally, internationally, please contact our producer and he will get back to you. In closing, I cannot fund Art Blender on my own for the long term and will need your help. So if you would like to make a personal donation or know a business that would like to sponsor an episode, please contact our producer. I am also creating a nonprofit to ensure that the money is used to bring you the most engaging content and ensure the longevity of Art Blender. Art Blender is a place for everyone who believes in the power of art and what it means to call yourself an artist. Thank you for watching today's episode.